Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pineapple Tennis. Today we're here at La Jolla Tennis Club and we are talking two-handed backhand, baby. This is my bread and butter. This is my favorite shot. I tell people all the time, you can beat me in 100 different ways. You cannot beat me at the backhand cross. This is where I excel. I've always had 3 key tips for the two-handed backhand that I see everybody get wrong. Okay, the first has to do with your legs, the spacing and stability. Okay, when you see that ball come, you want to take that step with your left and you want to be nice and stable with your back foot. If you're nice and stable with your back foot, you can drive. You can reach around with it or you can just drive through. But the key is to be with that back foot nice and stable. Boom, right there. The second thing is you want to make sure you go to the ball, okay? Even if you're jammed, even if that ball is coming onto you a little faster than you'd like to go the last 10%, go to the ball. This prevents you from being late as often as you are. Go to the ball. That last 10%, reach to the ball. And the third key, this helps me a lot. It's kind of a weird one, but if I'm hitting a neutral backhand, sometimes it's a little shorter, sometimes it's maybe an attacking two-handed backhand for me, an approach backhand. Instead of trying to hit the ball, I almost think I'm doing a shadow swing through the ball, right? I'm basically just doing this. I'm doing a shadow swing. I happen to be doing it where the ball is currently sitting, okay? So instead of trying to hit the ball, I'm thinking about doing a full stroke, full swing through where the ball happens to be. It's a similar concept in soccer. A lot of times you're not thinking about a pass as trying to hit the ball. You're moving your foot through where the ball is to create nice, soft, and solid contact. Again, the 3 keys to the two-handed backhand. The first, stability and spacing of the back foot. It starts with the back foot, stability and drive. The second, go to the ball. You want to go to the ball. Last 10%, you can wait for it, but that last 10%, be reaching forward, go to the ball. That's going to ensure the contact is in front of your body and you're not late. And the third, on those kind of pesky approach, awkward attack two-handed backhands, especially the mid-court balls, a lot of times just think about doing a shadow swing when the ball happens to be right there, right? Just do a shadow swing through contact. Keep your head down, stay low, boom. Then you look up and you're like, oh, hey, I hit a great two-handed backhand there.
Okay, we are starting really nice and light, cross-court backhands. One of the mistakes I see people make all the time is starting way too hard and heavy. Okay, you can see here we're really at like second gear, 60%. I'm just sort of barely jogging to the ball, walking over there sometimes. Just trying to get a lot of reps in. Wristing it over, just trying to get my body into the rhythm of hitting these backhands in. And we ramp up the intensity pretty quickly, but it's so much easier to add 10% pace or 10% spin or 10% quicker movement than it is to start at 120% and just miss every other shot. So here we are, maybe we're in third gear now, we're maybe at 70%. Some of these have a bit more shape, some of them are a bit more linear through. Just working on everything, seeing the ball, hitting it in a bunch of different ways, just getting ready for the session ahead. So next time you get on a tennis court, if you're doing your cross courts, if you're doing your kind of repetitive drills, start slow, right? Start at 60%, 70%. See yourself hit 20, 30 of these in a row. I promise you, you will be set up for such a better and more productive session ahead. And here, this is the third ball that we're going live on. And now this is a lot closer to normal, right? Where you'll see the split steps are a bit more crisp. We're moving a little bit quicker through. This still feels very controlled, and that's because of the warm-up. I've talked about this in a previous video where I talk about just warming up nice and slow and steady, and that's going to get you set up for a very productive session ahead. So now after that nice warm-up, we're ready for some more dynamic stuff and some more match-like drills. So this is a great drill to do on both wings. We're starting cross-court. I have 4 balls, 4 of my shots to go down the line. I can go on any one of those, but as soon as I go down the line, the point goes live. And you always have to let your opponent know when you hit a winner. We'll look at some footage of this same drill with another friend of mine in a bit, And you can tell, boom, as I go down the line here, I'm not trying to rip it down the line. It's a lot more productive to just sort of redirect it cross court, and you can see you draw an easy error. Again, here, I sort of just shove it up the line and follow it in, and I draw an easy error. People often think you have to do something amazing when you change direction up the line, but you really don't. You just have to redirect it to that position and wait for your opponent to screw up. And even though we play this point out for a few more reps and an opportunity to hit a sick forehand winner, all I did was casually redirect it up the line, and he missed the recovery shot. As we switch to this camera angle, really pay attention to how much clearance we get over the net, especially my opponent. He has a ton of shape, but I would guess that most of the balls we hit are anywhere from, 5 to 12 feet over the net. That's a lot of spin. That's a lot of, clearance that allows for margin, right? We can still swing out and have confidence that we're not going to hit the net too often.
Focus on going to. That last 10%, go to the ball. Don't wait for it.
That was tip number 2 from the beginning of the video, right? I just told my opponent, because I saw he was getting late on a few shots, I said, go to the ball. Last 10%, go to the ball.
Look at that! Was that Roger? Was that Raj?
I don't play with a one-handed backhand. I never have, but I still like doing it just for fun. I always really enjoyed the shot, and I love hitting it, so you always got to make a little fun when you hit a good one. Here I have to endure a few high and deep backhands in a row, and while I don't miss them often, you can really tell how awkward it gets for me to try to lean back and risk them over. I can't be offensive on them. Definitely something to improve. Yeah, and the rest of this is just a really fun point with changes in depth, changes in style, some drop shots, some touch. We're just here with a friend of mine having fun. It's important to keep tennis fun and light. So this is where the magic happens, the side angle. This is where you see it all, right? If there's any mistakes, they get exposed here. We talked about point 1 and 2 at the beginning of this video. Point 1 was making sure you have a nice and stable back foot. And point 2 is making sure you go to the ball. We'll look at a couple still frames and slow-mos in a second, but really watch how I'm trying to extend through the hitting zone, through the ball. I'm trying to go forward into the ball as I hit these. And wherever I can, if I have the time, look at my back foot in relation to my front foot. It's always stable. I want to limit the amount of times that my back foot is kind of behind me or not in line with my body, because that means I'm scrambling. That means I'm not in control of the shot. I'm reacting, which happens. I mean, you have to do that sometimes in tennis, but we want to limit how often that happens. And there I am with my famous one-handed backhand that will likely never win me a point. This angle really lets you see how much energy I take into the ball, how much of a solid swing I get, and how much I go through the ball in the hitting zone. That allows me to generate pace. Regardless if I'm going for more shape or more linear through, I'm solid and extending through that hitting zone. Regardless if the ball is higher or lower, I'm still trying to make sure I go to it. I want to hit that ball out in front. I don't want to wait for it. Alright, let's break down one of these strokes. Boom! Contact out in front of my body, solid weight transfer through the ball. Love that. Here we are again. Split step, a couple steps out, get my body in line, racket is back. Look at that prep. Eye on the ball, ready to extend through. Love that backhand. All right, here we are, another day, another court, another opponent. This is my good friend. One thing you'll notice very quickly is he hits much more through the court. The first guy I was playing with is another good friend of mine. He hits with a ton more shape and variety. This friend of mine really just tries to take the ball through the court. So it's really nice to see the different way you set up for the backhand when you're playing with somebody who hits more through with a bit more pace, or when you hit with somebody who has a bit more variety, maybe a slice, maybe a deeper shot, maybe a shorter shot, maybe a more spin, less spin. But regardless, the fundamentals are the same, right? You want to make sure you have a stable back foot. You want to make sure you really are going to that ball and you're making contact out in front of you and extending through that hitting zone. And it's important to always have fun, as I always say, so, you know, throw in a weird drop shot like that and run off with your arms up in victory. And you'll see we're working on both the two-handed backhand and the slice. I mean, I use the slice a lot. So you got to practice it. And when we're doing these cross courts, I'll do typically a couple points where I'm just slicing. I'm forcing myself to slice, and more recovery slices, defensive slices, and offensive slices. That's a really useful tool that I think most players with the two-handed backhand don't really utilize anymore in today's game. Like I said earlier, this is my bread and butter, baby. I love the backhand cross-court battles. I never lose these. I mean, I probably do, but I tell myself I never lose these. So we're doing that down-the-line drill again where we start cross-court, and within the first 4 balls, somebody has to go for it down the line. In this particular sequence, my partner is the one that has to go for it down the line. And what you'll notice is he really is struggling with his shot selection. He goes for too much, especially this ball here. I'm already off the court. I'm already struggling. If he just placed that anywhere down the line, it would have been a very difficult shot for me, but he overreached going for too much. See, that's the first one where he just sort of placed it there and I couldn't get there in time, you see? Little unlucky with that one.
Nope. So, instead of trying to just kind of, you can redirect it there. It doesn't need to be so good.
Yeah, you hear me tell him there, give him that piece of feedback. You don't need to rip it. You don't need to hit a winner. It doesn't have to be so good. You can just redirect it there and watch me struggle. As the receiving player doing this drill, it's important to keep in mind your partner can choose when to go. So you have to be ready to cover the cross court, but you also have to be ready to sprint for the down the line. It really replicates well to match play. Nothing like getting pumped up on a tennis court. Let's go. So now it's my turn to go up the line, and you'll notice when I choose to do it, I tend to be a bit more stable. I tend to pick bigger margins in my shot selection, and I tend to just send it up the line and see what he can come up with. See, that was a slow ball that I hit down the line. He just couldn't quite get there in time. So this is the last segment we'll look at here, the last angle on the camera. This is sort of a side angle where you can see what I'm doing, but also see what the ball is doing. We're going cross court here, and really pay attention to the depth that my opponent is hitting all his shots. So many of these land within a foot or two of the baseline. And it's important in that scenario, you see I'm maybe 2 meters, 6 or 7 feet behind the baseline, giving myself a little space, but still allowing myself to go forward into the ball. That's the most critical thing. Just because your opponent's hitting deep doesn't mean you have to lean backwards and hit late yourself. You can still go forward. In fact, you have to. If you don't go forward into the ball, you're going to miss these. You're going to hit them really high. They're going to go long. So you still need to prep the same way, move your feet, get stable, get set, and go forward into that ball, extend through the hitting zone. And it's important every now and again to give your opponent a surprise down the line winner. Just let them know. Let them know that you can do it. I'm totally kidding. That's very rude. Don't do that. But that's about it for this episode of the two-handed backhand from Pineapple Tennis. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks so much. If you leave a comment, I will respond. I would try to respond to every comment. If you like this kind of content, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll be bringing you a lot more videos like this, looking at movement drills, footwork drills, serve, all the technical aspects of forehand, backhand, volleys, all of it. So thank you guys, and on to the next one.
So next time you're on court practicing your two-handed backhand, think about those three things. 1, back foot stability. 2, go to the ball. That last 10%, go to the ball. And 3, shadow swing, do a full and complete stroke just through where the ball is sitting.